how the Trump campaign can help you grow your business. Now, no matter what you think of Donald Trump, he won the election. The question is, how could he win this election when everybody said he couldn't win the election? In this video, I'm going to show you growth hacking that Donald Trump used in his campaign and how you can use some of the same principles to help you grow your business, and we're starting right now. Hey guys, JR Fisher here, and if you're new to my channel, do me a favor and subscribe. Go down there and hit that subscribe button. Next to it, there's a bell. You got to ring the bell. How do you ring the bell? You click it and it's going to make that ring noise right there, just like this. Then you got to turn on all notifications. That way when I do these videos, you'll be the first one to know about it. You'll be part of the Fisher family and you'll be in that VIP group. In this video, we're going to talk about Donald Trump. Now, I don't care what your politics are. It makes no difference to me. But what do you think about the way he ran his election? Put your comments below. Do you think he did a good job? Do you think he did a bad job? He won, we know that, and he got a lot of attention. But the question is, how did he do it? Let's examine that in this particular video. Now also, if you're new to this channel, I've been selling online since 2009 and I've sold millions of dollars of both physical and digital products. And on this channel, what I do is I share with you all of those things that I've learned over the years so that you can start, run, and grow your online business. Now let's check out this campaign that Donald Trump ran. Now, I'm sure by now you know the news because he's been in office for a few years, but Donald Trump won the 2016 election against Hillary Clinton. Now, he's now the 45th president of the United States, but the question is, how did he do it? What growth hacking did he do that you can learn from, that you can apply in your business? Now, I'm going to remain totally neutral about, my political leanings, and I really don't have much because I don't really think that whoever's in office is really going to affect me much. Most of what's going to come in my life, in fact, almost everything that's going to come in my life is not based on some politician. And I want you to understand your future is not based on some politician either. It's based on what you do every single day. That effort that you put forth every single day will have more effect in your life than anything else you can do. Okay, so it really doesn't matter which way you lean on this political thing, but the question is, how did Donald Trump use growth hacking to actually win this election? Because he obviously did something that worked out pretty well for him. He came from nowhere. He had no background whatsoever in politics, but he did exhibit that entrepreneurial spirit, and he used growth hacking to win this election. Now, most successful businesses use growth hacking. Growth hacking is a strategy most commonly used by startups to get going real fast. So to sum it up, growth hacking basically is setting up a strategy. You decide what your main goals are going to be. You decide what channels you're going to use, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or web pages or whatever, and then you go out and test to all those areas several different things. Once you figure out the things that work, you double down on those things and you spend more time and more money just on those items and drop everything else. And that's basically what growth hacking is in a nutshell. Companies like Airbnb, PayPal, Dropbox, they've all used the same strategy to grow their business extremely fast, and it's been very successful for all of them. Now, I'm going to talk about politics and how this growth hacking was used, but these same ideas you can apply to your business and get the same results. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is having a specific target and identifying your audience. The problem that most businesses have is that they go after everybody. They say, hey, I want a big audience, so I want to sell to everybody. And the thing is, if you don't take a side, if you don't make a stand, if you don't have some type of meaning to your business, you're basically speaking to nobody if you speak to everybody. So what you need to do is focus on a smaller group of people that are more passionate or that have more need for whatever your product or service is. And that's exactly what Donald Trump did. He tapped into that audience out there that is sick and tired of the kind of politicians we had before, who doesn't like politicians, who is for the working man and the blue-collar worker, and he knew exactly the audience he was going after when he got started. Initially, Donald Trump's target was Republicans. He went after Republicans. Now keep in mind, Donald Trump used to be a Democrat, but he decided he wanted to be the nominee for the Republicans, so he had to go after Republicans. He didn't care if Democrats liked him or loved him or hated him. It made no difference to him. He knew what his target was. His target was to get the nomination, which is the first step, and then in order to do that, you're going to have to get the Republicans to like you, and that's what he went after. Now the next step is really studying your target and knowing your audience. Now here's what he knew about Republicans, and I'm not talking about people in office, I'm talking about people who identify as Republicans. He knew that those people don't trust politicians. He knew it. That was the biggest thing. He knew they didn't trust politicians. So instead of going out there and saying, you know, I don't have any experience, but I think I could do the job, he immediately would bring that up, and he would say, I don't have experience, and that's why I can do the job, because I'm not your common politician, the person you can't trust. I'm somebody you can trust. So he was tapping in to that need they had, that pain point they had, that they don't trust any politicians, whether Democrats or Republicans. So he immediately said, I'm not a politician. I'm going to go to DC and I'm going to drain the swamp. The next thing is to define your message and find your value proposition. What was his value proposition? Well, his value proposition was, I'm not part of the establishment. I'm not an establishment person. You can vote for me. You can trust me because I'm not part of them. So instead of trying to make himself liked by all the politicians, no matter which party it was, he said, I'm not part of either one of them. I'm there to clean all this up. He really defined his proposition to the audience, and that made him even more likable to that audience that's going to be voting for him. Trump did something that I don't think I've ever seen in my lifetime before, and he didn't try to be loved by everyone. And you know, it's so funny, over the years as I've listened to politicians, whether it's Democrat or Republican or Independent, they all sound the same. It's really hard to distinguish what they really want to do and what they're going to do. And Trump came right out and he said what he wanted to do. He said what he was going to do. So he really tried to separate himself from all the other pack. Now in doing so, he got a lot of resistance. He got a lot of people that didn't like him, and that just made the people who did like him even more. They're like, well, those are my opponents out there. Those are the people I don't like, and if they don't like this guy, he's the guy for me. That's the way he went about it. Next thing you need to do is define your metrics, your KPIs. Your KPIs is basically your key performance indicators. So a key performance indicator is you need to get a certain percentage. You need to set what that percentage is, or you need to get a certain dollar or whatever it is. And he determined up front what percentages he need so he could go after that and set all of his KPIs and hit them on a regular basis. So one of the KPIs that Donald set up was how many Republicans would vote for him if he was on the ticket. His whole goal was to have the highest number of Republicans that would vote for him if he was on the ticket. So that was his KPI. Now check out this graphic right here. This is amazing. There's nowhere in here that anybody is even close to him. He's at 27.7% of the Republicans that were polled in this said they would vote for him. And as you can see below that, the next one is unsure. That's not even a candidate. At the time of this poll, below that, they had Scott Walker, which was at 15%, which is less than half. Then they had Ben Carson at 7.8, Jeb Bush at 6.8, Marco Rubio at 5.4, Rand Paul at 3.9, Ted Cruz was at 3.7, Rick Perry 3.3, and the rest of them can't even, I mean, they don't even go up to 2%. It's ridiculous. So he was just crushing it when they asked these people who were going to vote for president, who would you vote for? He crushed it. This was his KPI that he was most concerned about, because he knew if he could get this, then he could get the nomination. Now he was smart technology-wise. I would have never guessed this because he's an older man, but technology-wise, he was on top of this. He defined his channels. What channels was he going to use to get his message out to the people? And certainly we all know he's famous for his tweets, so those tweets go out all the time. But he figured out SEO. He figured out social media. He figured out Facebook ads. He knew what he was doing to get the message across, and he was going after those people who were Republicans and for those people who were undecided yet, because that's where you're going to win an election, with all those undecided people. Now Trump actually selected 4 different channels that he was going to use. He decided on social media. Now under that umbrella of social media, there's a lot of social media platforms. Of course, Twitter is the one that he used the most, and was the most successful with. On top of that, he did PR, public relations. Okay, he was all over public relations and how people thought about him, and he didn't care that some people didn't like him. Didn't matter to him. He just needed a good base of people that did like him, that did support him. He also did offline marketing. What's offline marketing? This is unheard of for anybody to do this. He went out and did conventions. He did these huge rallies all around the country, and he would get people all stirred up, and they were all excited, and he filled stadiums with people so that they could see him and they could hear his message, and then they went out and talked about it, and that spread. And then the last thing he did was video marketing. He did a lot of videos, folks. There was a lot of sound bites that Donald Trump did, and those video marketing sound bites he had went all over Facebook. So he kind of combined all of these channels together to make for one successful campaign, and that is exactly what you need to do with your business also. Now, the next thing he did was A/B testing. What's A/B testing? He would take a platform such as Twitter, and he would put a bunch of positive stuff on there about how he was going to help the economy and business and all that, and then he would put a lot of negative stuff on there about immigrants, about, you know, trade wars with China or whatever it was. He went in both directions to see which ones worked best for him. Obviously, I think some of those negative ones worked really well for him. So you've got to kind of think about this in your business too. You want to push away from things that you don't like, and you want to support things you do like. In doing that, you're going to have some people dislike you. He has people who dislike him, but also you're really going to build up that loyalty of the people that already do like you. Now, look at your data analytics. Here's the funny thing. When he did some negative stuff, he really got a lot of press out of that. All the reporters would jump on it. All of his opponents would jump on it, and they would talk about the negative things that Trump was saying about the country, about immigrants, about China, about Iran, and as they did that, they were giving him free advertising. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew if he said something controversial that people were going to print it, they were going to talk about it, it was going to be on the news shows over and over again. Their thought was that would tear him down. He knew in the back of his mind that would actually build up his audience. Once he figured out what really worked, he doubled down on it. Every time he got caught saying something that was controversial and then say, oh my gosh, he's got to apologize for that one, he would do just the opposite, and he would come out stronger because he knew that that's going to make the news. He's famous for some of his tweets. I've got a couple of them right here. One of them said, he was talking about Mexicans, and he says, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists. That was actually one of his tweets. Amazing, right? Okay, one of the other tweets he says, and you're not going to believe this because I just looked at it myself and I thought, wow, he didn't say this, but here's what he said. You know, it really doesn't matter what the media write as long as you've got a young and beautiful piece of ass. That's what he actually said about his wife. So that's a pretty out there tweet, but he did it and he doubled down on it. Amazing. Trump also had to optimize his channels. In other words, once he figured out which ones were working better for him than others, don't try to, in your business, I see so many businesses do this, they'll be on like 20 different channels and trying to do all these things, and they don't really do any of them that well. You want to figure out which ones get you the best response for your time and really focus on those, and that's exactly what he did, and obviously Twitter was working really well for him. Now, what happened next was really pretty amazing. His PR campaign worked so well that he won the Republican primaries with 45%, which is amazing because his next closest contender was Ted Cruz, and he had 25%. And let's not forget the wall. He said he's going to build a wall, which he's actually started construction, and there's been a lot of controversy, a lot of court cases and all that, but he was going to build a wall between the US and Mexico and have Mexico pay for it. That's a pretty controversial thing, but understand what we can learn from this election, what we can learn from his campaign is that you can apply a lot of these tactics to your business, and that's all he really did. He's a business guy, and he knew what would work, and he knew being controversial would really help him out, and that's kind of what you have to do in business too. Now, in my trainings, I'm not overly controversial, but I'm not the guy who's going to say, hey, you can work 4 hours a week and get rich. You can't do it. And you know, I talk about that all the time. I'm like, it's a lot of hard work. You got to spend a lot of time. I'm doing this video right now, and I'm filming for hours today to do this video. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work, and it doesn't mean that you can only, you know, have to work like 2 years and then you're never going to have to work again. I mean, I've I've been doing this 10 years, and at this point I'm still working hard. That's the way it is. It doesn't mean I can't take some time off when I want, and I certainly do that. But what it does mean, and what it does speak to, is those people out there that understand when I say you got to do hard work, they're a little bit more believing about my message. Those people who, you know, want to work 4 hours a week and make $1 million a year hear my message and they go away. They don't want to buy my stuff because they know that I'm going to actually ask them to work. But it builds that trust and that loyalty with the people who do know that that's a true message. So, growth hacking, can you use it in your business? Yeah, you can use it in business. Matter of fact, I want to know which parts of this you're going to use in your business. Put your comments below. If you had questions about this video or how Donald Trump used all this, put your questions below. Hopefully we won't get too many political things down there, but we may, and if we do, that's okay. Now don't forget, if you haven't done so already and you're not part of the Fisher family, you're not part of those VIPs, you need to hit that subscribe button so you can join the family. And you need to ring the bell, turn on your bell notifications right next to it. Mark it for get all notifications. That way you do become a VIP. That way you do get notified every time I do a new video. Also, don't forget, I have a free e-commerce course below. It's $197 value. You can get it absolutely free by just clicking the link. All you got to do is click and learn. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click that little bell right there so you can be notified every time I do a new video. Also, click on one of those videos there. Keep watching on my channel.